Seattle is home to a diverse and eclectic population of people that has evolved over its short history as a city. The port town was once unknown to many citizens across the United States, but has sprouted out of the ground as a new major city. With companies such as Starbucks, Microsoft, and Amazon growing exponentially, the city has seen its structure of people and land change. While many of these changes have improved our city's economy and overall image as a city, Seattle's changes have slowly disabled many hardworking citizens from finding jobs, buying an affordable house, or even commuting to their daily job. Hi, my name is Matthew Fishbein, and over the course of the last 3 weeks, I've been collecting data, images, and statements concerning Seattle's growing gentrification. My hope for this film is to raise awareness around the problems with gentrification and to start a conversation about how we as Seattleites can help balance growth and tradition in our city. Now in 2018, Seattle's population sits at around 800,000. Now that may not seem like a huge increase over 18 years, but in fact Seattle's adding people at an immense rate, with 1,000 new people moving into the city weekly. Seattle's early years as a city were defined by Mr. Yesler's lumber mills, which provided most of the jobs in the city during that time. The city, with only around 200,000 people during the early to mid-1900s, saw its increase in population drop off until World War II. After the economic explosion that put Seattle's pin in the map, Seattle was able to hold the 1962 World's Fair, which brought the city's most iconic structure, the Space Needle, to life. Now in the 21st century, and with tech giants such as Microsoft and Amazon making it clear they were here to stay, Seattle's economy is growing faster than it was during wartime.
I'll give you the moon, Barry.
I'll take it.
The first areas that I went to film in and research about was the Central District and Rainier Beach, both areas located in the southern side of Seattle bordering Renton and Tacoma. These areas over the last couple of years have seen massive infrastructure growth, with Paul Allen's construction firm starting its newest project in the heart of the CD on 16th and Jefferson.
Yes!
Newer apartment buildings have also started to plunge out of the ground, with a building being finished every 4 to 6 months. The Central District in Rainier Beach is home to primarily Black and Hispanic families, but in both areas the population of those communities has dwindled.
I don't have much of a memory of it because when we moved here, but I could say that from living here in Seattle all my life, that there was definitely a trend when we moved here in 1999 of new housing was being built. And
Well, gentrification is typically a rapid economic and demographic change that happens to a low-income urban neighborhood in which it suddenly attracts the interest of higher income, higher status people who move in, who would invest in the neighborhood. Then property values start to go up very quickly, the rents follow, and what usually happens is that many of the original residents are displaced, many of the original businesses are displaced, or their customers are gone, so there's no reason for them to stay in business there. You wind up with very different types of businesses, very different type of residents, a lot of new development, and so very quickly what you have is an entire neighborhood just changing its whole character, becoming much wealthier.
Homeowners in Rainier Beach and the Central District are fighting to keep their businesses alive, and unfortunately the cultural richness of the area is being undermined by the fast-growing housing market. There is a sense of pride when it comes to someone's home. Citizens don't just think of their parks and centers as dots on the map, but places that they experience joy with others. The south side of Seattle has seen spurts of economic growth related to transportation. Being on the south side of Seattle, it is cut off from the major parts of the city. Rainier Beach, before I-90 was built, was primarily white. After the 520 and I-90 bridges were created, many of the white families moved across the water. This allowed immigrants looking for housing to move into the neighborhood. Now, once again, transportation plays a role in shaping of the Central District in Rainier Beach. With the light rail to be finished in the next decade, transportation will be easier and more affordable, allowing other wealthy citizens to set up families in the area. The next area I focused on was South Lake Union in downtown Seattle. While downtown Seattle isn't known for having tracks of gentrification, it still does have a lot of construction work. Many people believe that the more construction a city has, the better its economy is doing. However, many of the cranes that you see in the Seattle skyline are only there for one purpose: building for Amazon. Amazon in the last decade has become an extremely controversial topic for Seattleites. If you don't already know, Amazon is a tech giant that was founded and created by CEO Jeff Bezos. Amazon allows for worldwide shipping, and the amount of products is endless. In December of 2007, Amazon decided it would pack up their bags and move their facilities from the old hospital on Beacon Hill to an 11-building campus in South Lake Union. While many officials of Seattle were hesitant to approve the construction, Paul Allen's construction firm Vulcan offered to help Bezos and the company cut costs. Bezos, during this period of negotiation with Seattle officials, was never worried that they would be denied access to the area and had already called the area home. Now that the 11-building campus is done, Amazon has been looking to expand its reach in the area, just announcing their plan to set up a second headquarters right next to the first in South Lake Union, adding more construction to the area. Now, you may ask yourself, what is the controversy with Amazon being in Seattle? Many people in Seattle who oppose gentrification generally point the finger at Amazon. This is somewhat of a misjudgment. Amazon currently employs 40,000 people, and the company also helps rent out affordable housing for lower-income mothers. Amazon has also allowed for Seattle's tourism and overall image around the country to grow.
A strong economy is a double-edged sword. And when you get Microsoft and Amazon and Starbucks and Expedia and Costco, all major and Boeing, all major corporations, it's going to have an effect that, at least if they keep on hiring here, you're going to see people coming in and that are probably paid fairly well, especially on the Amazon, because I generally would say probably they're tech workers, and that's going to increase the cost of real estate because they have to find a home, and that's definitely a negative. But on the flip side, and you're going to lose some small businesses too, because of either the real estate gets sold under them, or that Amazon actually goes into absorbs some of their business. But then you have to take a look at some of the other perspectives, meaning that one Amazon employee probably supports several other businesses, like they buy shoes, they buy auto care, so they are supporting the economy, but it's a double-edged sword.
Over the course of the last 8 years, Amazon has increasingly hired young, smart millennials to help expand their business. With this influx of new employees, the city itself is reacting in a way that has left business owners and residents to fend for themselves. In February of 2016, it was made clear that the city of Seattle gave $15 million to waterfront businesses to set up shop. This is an attempt in one of Seattle's newest projects to revamp the seawall in downtown Seattle. However, out of this $15 million given to business owners, none was given to smaller businesses elsewhere in the city. It is clear the city of Seattle is engaging in a double standard when it comes to big businesses downtown with the seawall. There seems to be $15 million available. Gerald Hankerson, president of the King County NAACP, told Cairo's radio Jason Rants. But when it comes to the small minority-owned businesses in the central area of Seattle, there is not one single dollar. While Amazon may be a part of the increasing amount of more wealthy citizens in the city of Seattle is responsible for its citizens and the businesses they create. By prioritizing businesses in key areas and funding them immensely, the officials of Seattle are neglecting to look at the areas that truly do need an economic spurt if they are to survive.
And fighting gentrification is kind of difficult.
Yeah.
I don't know if that many places have been successful at it. I think I would say, gentrification is kind of a complicated thing. It has some positive aspects to it.
Yeah.
Better amenities, services, all that kind of thing can come to a neighborhood when it's gentrified. The problem is, and that really probably the only thing that's really problematic about gentrification is the displacement.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if the original residents were able to stay in the neighborhood, you know, it maybe then it wouldn't really be that problematic, right? But the thing is, you know, that people wind up being displaced, and that means, you know, that's hugely disruptive for a person's life, and when they have to all of a sudden, you know, find a new place to live, and trying to find somewhere cheaper to live in Seattle, you know, is not easy, and you know, that of course creates all sorts of problems. Like
from the East Coast, I do not find Seattle to be particularly diverse. And I also find the diversity that does exist to exist in pockets, as opposed to kind of all mixed together. You know, there are definitely distinct neighborhoods where you expect to find different types of people, but I definitely always say to my East Coast friends, it's kind of stunning how white Seattle is compared to a lot of the major East Coast cities. Mm-hmm. Especially, I'm from Philadelphia, so we have a lot of diversity. I lived in New York for a long time. I think I work at Amazon. I'd say Amazon in its own walls is diverse, but that's a lot of international diversity as opposed to American-born diversity.
Mm-hmm. One of the major problems that has come with gentrification is housing. In 2015, Seattle declared a state of emergency on homelessness. While rents and housing costs are rising, many of Seattle's homeless have no opportunities to find cheaper, more affordable housing. From 2015 to 2017, homelessness has risen by 44%. African Americans in the city are struggling the most with this problem. 6% of the population in Seattle is African American, but over a third of that population is struggling with housing. The city of Seattle, just this past year, was moving to pass a bill that would force companies that gross over $20 million a year to pay every Seattle employee 26 cents per hour. The bill would help people struggling to find affordable housing a chance. However, this bill would only be effective if the city of Seattle would build and prioritize cheaper housing around the city. Currently, to own a house in Seattle, the average cost would be $250,000, and rent cost for one is $1,500. Housing prices in the last 10 years have seen a huge increase of 30%, and with that is causing more lower-income citizens to move out of their homes.
I live in Capitol Hill, and I can't walk outside of my door without seeing an extreme homelessness problem. You know, you don't have to go very far to see tent camps and all kinds of things. I think, again, coming from an East Coast city where homelessness was a huge problem, but the city partnered with a lot of nonprofits, and there's like a material improvement in the homelessness in that city. I think there's a lot to be done here, and I'm relatively new, so I won't comment on failures.
With all this data in mind, I still can't come to a solid conclusion on how to reduce gentrification. However, I do know that gentrification is a multifaceted problem. Certain aspects of gentrification, like income inequality and housing prices, have their own solutions that could be resolved in a short amount of time. But if those projects were dealt with solely by themselves, they could have negative effects on the city. Seattle's gentrification problem doesn't have as much to do with race as it does the city's economy. Seattle's become a major city in the last 10 years, and more people around the country are looking to make their own mark in the city. With newer businesses and major corporations expanding, Seattle's officials are eager to help aid those companies in growing the city's economy, which then in turn leaves smaller businesses and less wealthy families to look for other alternatives to make a living.
Race, one of the things that's kind of interesting in Seattle, because we often think about gentrification as people of color being displaced by white people, and that does happen, of course, and it's happened throughout, Central District and Rainier Valley, absolutely great examples of that. But then you have gentrification like Capitol Hill, Ballard, even South Lake Union, where it's not really so much of a racial thing. And in fact, Capitol Hill is a very white neighborhood, and it still is, but I remember the last time I looked at the census data on the racial makeup of Capitol Hill, it actually has become more diverse as it's gentrified, which is kind of like counterintuitive, you know? It's not what you think.
Seattle is a thriving city that has a passionate and devoted community of people looking to improve the city. I hope that my film has given you the data and tools to navigate this extremely complicated topic and come to your own conclusion. I've been in Seattle my whole life, and even though I'm leaving, I still hope to see people, businesses, and areas that define this place as my home.